yes, this is your favorite show, Sports Unfolded, with your favorite hosts, Eric and Ron.
Welcome to the best sports podcast on the planet, Sports Unfolded, where we cover all of the weekly sports stories. We do not leave any stone unturned. I am your host, Eric. Main man right over there. Ron, how are you tonight?
I'm doing okay. A little indifferent of all the happenings in sports this week. It all started with you jinxing the Buffalo Bills,
But
and
the plan is in place.
but it keeps going because the Bruins have sucked. The Red Sox haven't done anything.
Yeah, well. Yeah, you got a tough one. The Celtics are like a 500 team now.
Oh, it's just brutal.
Yeah,
it's brutal.
It's been rough. And we got to wait another week for the Super Bowl. So no real football for a bit. But we've got a lot to talk about and a lot to cover anyway. I will say this. If you are live and joining us live, please join the chat. Let us know if you have an opinion on any of the topics we're covering, or if you'd like to talk about anything, let us know as well. We want to thank all of those listeners in Dallas, Georgia, WDJY 99.1 FM, as well as 990 WBOB in Rhode Island, and SEC-TV, Public Access Channel 12, for allowing us to be on there every Tuesday night as well. So, Ron, it is time to get this party started. I cannot wait. And our first story, our leadoff story.
This ought to be good. We need
Dallas
Danny
Cowboys
here. Where's Danny?
have hired their next head coach, Brian Schottenheimer. Was this the best choice?
No. Look, I look at it this way. It is the only choice that would be okay with Jerry Jones making the decisions.
I agree with you there. Yes.
I don't think he's that bad of a choice.
I think because he wasn't on the radar, a lot of people are questioning this move.
But I
been
just
in the league a long time.
The ability to run the offense and the defense and everything else that goes in between, I'm a little questioning that.
We've got to see what he does for a defensive coordinator.
Absolutely.
I will say, James, thanks for joining. I will say this. If you look at how long he's been in the league, offensive side of the ball, yes, he didn't call plays for Dallas, but he knew that system. It keeps Dak in the same kind of offense where you're not trying to revamp everything and go through this entire process.
Yeah, I'm just a little skeptical not calling plays. That to me, I think, is a must. You got to be able to do that. And right now, we don't know if he can.
Yeah, no, we don't.
Just don't know.
I will say this. Something had to change because obviously the McCarthy thing, and Hugo, thanks for joining as well. I will say that you saw there was some kind of issues between the coach and the owner. It was pretty obvious. I think it's
the guy couldn't win a playoff game.
They go after Dion. Dion didn't want to commit because I could say that, but I also think Dion, if he really wanted to make a move, this was probably his best opportunity because you are losing the best player in the country. You're losing your son to the NFL as well. Your team may not be as good next year where people would want you to coach.
Yeah, and then you think of all the portals that would have been his if not for Bill Belichick to be there. And Bill Belichick took a lot of those players that might have ended up going with him. And I don't know if he's going to be able to win without a star quarterback if they don't have one. I don't know if they have one or not, but will he be as good as what they had? And that is questionable.
Yeah, so I don't know if Sanders will be on the table next year. I will say I agree with James on that Schottenheimer is on a short list or leash.
Yeah.
But at the same time, would anything be expected different in Dallas? We know Jerry Jones. We know what he's going to bring to the table. We know that he controls pretty much everything that happens in that organization. So to me, this was the right fit because you couldn't bring somebody from the outside. And yes, Deion Sanders played in Dallas, I get, but somebody from the outside that has a strong voice or opinion will not work in Dallas. And I think Deion wouldn't have worked in Dallas because of that reason, where
I don't think so either.
be a yes man.
We had talked about this already. He needs a guy that is going to let Jerry run everything. And there aren't too many of those people that really feel comfortable without having an input. I don't know.
Yeah,
but we'll see what happens with this guy. See if he can turn things around.
I don't know if they weren't really listen, at the end of the day, they haven't been to an NFC championship game, they said, in over 30 years. Now, Jerry Jones came out and said something ridiculous like we need more production in the postseason. I don't know if this guy puts you over the top in the postseason. Like, I don't feel that's any better. Your team's in cap hell right now. If you look at they're over the cap, they're going to have to cut some guys. They're going to have to rework some contracts.
I heard an interesting thing, Eric. You might get a kick out of this one. The last time the Dallas Cowboys was in the NFC Championship was before Hurts. Hurts was born, grew up, became a football player, then became a pro football player, and went to the NFC Championship before Dallas.
Yeah, listen, they're a mess. And we know why. It's Jerry Jones. And listen, yes. Dallas Cowboy fans can sit back. You wear the star, America's team, like all these great things. Your owner is one of the worst owners in the league. And it's not because he's not willing to spend a beautiful stadium. You've got all this stuff going on. The issue becomes he is so involved in that organization from press conferences to picking players to probably deciding who's going to be the coordinators, that it gets to a point where until he's not involved in that process, they are going to struggle.
Yeah, and I just spilled on my notes.
Oh, boy.
And that's now all blotched.
Oh, boy. This is why you gotta start to look at it, get a monitor. I will say this, Ron. Couple of key things that they could look at, though. And it might be cheap enough. They need a running back. They say they want to get back to running the ball. There's two guys out there that I think they could sign for less money. Najee Harris of Pittsburgh or Nick Chubb coming off that injury. But they're both 1,000-yard backs. Yeah. Try to get back to the running game. He's got to have – listen, 12th pick overall, you got to look offensive line.
The question is, why did they get rid of Pollard?
Money, as usual. Yeah, Ashawn Jets. Yeah, in the draft, yes. Listen, from Boise State. The key is, James, will he be there at 12? He broke that rushing record in college.
Yeah, there's no guarantee he'll be there.
Yeah, that'd be a great move, but I don't know. And if so, then I say maybe one of these two guys in free agency, offensive line at 12 at that point. Dak comes back healthy. Maybe they're okay. Listen, but Philly's shown a lot. The biggest problem for Dallas right now is that division has gotten so much better. The Giants stink.
Well,
but after that, Washington has proven that they are a legitimate contender.
That's the problem. The biggest problem what Dallas had was losing Dan Quinn. That was their biggest problem because that eliminated their defense right there. because they were terrible this past year. But before that, with Dan Quinn, it was good. Parsons was a beast. And then all of a sudden, Dan Quinn leaves and this team is just terrible defensively. That's a big problem.
James is right. You don't draft a running back in the top 10. It's extremely rare. 15, maybe does Dallas drop down, try to get some more assets? They've got to figure out what they're going to do with the roster, because you just mentioned it, Micah Parsons as well.
Yeah.
You got to sign Micah Parsons. You just gave CeeDee Lamb that big contract. We know Dak Prescott and his contract.
Yeah.
They're going to have some issues, and it's got to be real creative. And the guy pulling the strings in this is Jerry Jones. I don't care who was the coach. If Jerry Jones is going to make the decisions, I don't think any coach can succeed. I don't think Mike McCarthy was that bad. I don't. I would have kept McCarthy over doing what I did and getting Schottenheimer.
Yeah.
That was a better option. He's at least proven he can win 12 games a season.
As long as he has a quarterback.
Yeah, kind of helps, right? Cooper Rush, no? What do you think out there? Did Dallas make the right choice? If you're joining us live, did the Dallas Cowboys make the right choice hiring Brian Schottenheimer as their head coach?
There could be other factors why he fired McCarthy. Maybe he thought that he would be able to get Bill. And then when he couldn't, oops.
I think it was more Dion. Do the Cowboys ever make the right choice? Probably not right now, not recently, not in the last 30 years.
They're not the only team.
Change is always good, though. Hugo seems to think it might benefit them. And it could maybe a new voice. Maybe the team didn't play harder for McCarthy.
I mean, you also got to look at now, it's not a given that they're going to be top 2, right? Because now Washington is certainly.
And that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's where it
contender.
gets. Yeah. And we already expect
they might actually have the best quarterback in the division.
The only thing that could really help benefit the Cowboys is if the Eagles lose the Super Bowl and decide to make a lot of changes. But at this point, listen,
but we don't want that.
Right? NFC champions in your division. The second team that lost in the NFC championships in your division. You've got no cap space. And now a first-year quarterback, head coach. So, who didn't call plays offensively.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting situation in Dallas.
They need experienced coordinators.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, Ron. There's been obviously a ton of hires. I think the Saints job's the only job left.
Yeah, that is the only one.
Would you consider this the worst hire right now out of all the coaches that were hired? Or would you talk Jacksonville with Cohen? Maybe.
Yeah, I would say Jacksonville was worse. And they don't even have much to work with either. So,
but this might be the second one. And you think about what Dallas means to the NFL. They need them to win. Sarah, thanks for joining. It's been a while.
Sarah, it's been a while.
But this is the league wants Dallas to be successful.
Yeah.
And they can't seem to figure it out.
Successful, to be honest with you.
Well, you know why they don't care? Duval. Yes, Duval. Yes. Yes, sir. Let's keep this NFL talk going, Ron. And let's talk about another head coach that was hired. Aaron Glenn. Can he be the savior for the New York Jets and turn this franchise around finally?
It's the Jets. That answers the question. Look, I mean, you would like to think it is, but first of all, they just hire a an offensive coordinator that nobody has ever even heard of. Like that. That's
listen,
worse than
what's going on with Aaron Rodgers?
Well, that's the thing. So now you
don't even know what's going
have
on
this
there.
problem, and you don't have any answers. What Aaron Glenn is in a very tough spot right now because he either has Aaron Rodgers and a disgruntled Aaron Rodgers, or no quarterback.
Which we know how that
pick
works.
Your poison. I mean, what's worse, not having the quarterback or having Aaron Rodgers at this point?
That's a good call. It's a good call. I will say this, Ron. 14.
If Hugo agrees, it's the Jets.
Right? 14 straight years not making the postseason is American.
And you have an owner that wants to be Jerry Jones.
Woody Johnson, yeah.
And he might even be worse than
think
Jerry
about
Jones.
This move too, Ron. They pick up Devontae Adams for this reunion with Aaron Rodgers, who now they've got to either restructure the contract or cut. So you're going to lose your two best offensive players, probably, right? That's a problem. They're picking 7th overall, but only have $25 million in cap space. So again, how you figure this out? And then I looked at this too, Ron. Everybody talked about Aaron Glenn and the turnaround with Detroit's defense and what a great job. In the 4 years he was a defensive coordinator, they ranked 31st, 28th, 23rd, and then 7th last year. He only had one really good season as a defensive coordinator, and that was last year.
But I can understand that because he built up a defense.
But think about what they looked like in the postseason. Why did they lose to the Washington Commanders? Because they couldn't stop anything.
That's the point. That's the counterpoint, right? So, I mean, you would think with the defense that they have in place, they would do well. Like, you really need a quarterback that is going to be with the team, not for himself.
What do you mean? Locking yourself in a hut and doing hallucinogens isn't the way to approach the
no, it's not ideal.
No, you don't think so?
It's not ideal.
You don't think so?
When you have players that don't like the guy, it's hard to play for that guy, right? And especially when he's all this talking that he does, and he won one Super Bowl. He's not even,
listen,
like he has the same amount of Super Bowls as Trent Dilfer.
I put Peyton Manning ahead of him all day.
Oh God, yes. Oh my God.
So when people were like trying to do that Tom Brady comparison with Aaron Rodgers, I had already put Peyton by far.
Oh, he's far ahead of him.
And now probably Mahomes will move into that spot.
I don't even have Aaron Rodgers in the top 10.
Can he at least
get
in
conversation?
So let me ask you this: can he at least get this team to the postseason?
I don't
think about the talent he has on the Jets. Defensively is just as good as it was in Detroit.
Yeah, I actually think the defense in New York is actually better, to be honest with you.
So if
I think it's better.
Listen, slow down other teams, maybe you get enough. James doesn't think so.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking just this coming year, no. Not a playoff team. Because you got to solve the problem at quarterback first. If they do that during the offseason, then we can revisit.
Best move for the Jets, Aaron Rodgers comes back or they get a different quarterback?
Get a different quarterback.
So that's going to be key too. Listen, you know who might help them too? We talked about it with the Raiders. Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
At least it gives them a little stability at that spot.
You got a nice receiver. You got a running game.
Garrett Wilson, right? Yeah.
You get an offensive lineman in the draft, and now you're talking, right?
Maybe.
I like that.
It's going to depend what he can do offensively. I think defensively, the Jets will be pretty good.
Yeah, they're just
Not
on
a
the
chance.
field too long.
Not a chance.
But yeah, no, I don't see them making the playoffs this season coming up, unless a quarterback falls into their lap.
It's going to be an interesting NFL season next year because there's a lot of change already. Ron, we are going to move on again with some more NFL talk. This is for our Dallas, Georgia listeners out there, WDJY 99.1. We decided to have a little fun with our starting five tonight.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
James wants us to play some Jeopardy. Perennial NFL screw-ups for 500, please. I like that. All right, Dallas, Georgia. This one's for you. The starting five all-time Atlanta Falcons quarterbacks. We are going to rank them from 5 to 1 on how we feel. I will say this, Ron. This was another tough. There's not a lot going on.
It was very difficult.
But I actually have an honorable mention, but you are first this week, so I'll let you start with your honorable mention.
Yeah, I put two very weak honorable mentions. Second is Jeff George, who went 16-19 in Atlanta. But he did have a 60.5 completion ratio. I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. He had 50 touchdowns, 32 interceptions, 7.3 yards per attempt, 8,575 yards, no accolades whatsoever. He was my second. And the first one, Chris Miller, who unfortunately went 23-43, but he did have 87 touchdowns and 72 interceptions, and he got a Pro Bowl. So he was a little better than Jeff George.
Yeah.
And Jeff George went 0-1 in the playoffs. Chris Miller went 1-1 in the playoffs.
Yeah. I had Jeff George, honorable mention, 16 wins in 2 seasons. He didn't have a long career there in Atlanta. So, James seems to think he's got number 1 and 2. I'm pretty sure your 1 and 2, James, will be the same as ours. But we're going to start at number 5 because this is how this works. So, Ron, Atlanta Falcons quarterbacks all time. Your number 5 in our starting 5 is...
My number 5 is Bob Lee.
Wow.
Going back to the 60s. He was 10-9 in the regular season.
Oh, my goodness.
41.3 completion percentage. 13-22 for touchdowns and interceptions. He's number 5 only because he did win an NFL championship for them in 1973. Not a Super Bowl.
That was the year I was born. 73. All right. Good year. All right. At 5 for me in my starting 5 was Chris Miller, even with that horrendous winning record, 23-43. But he, believe it or not, Ron, 6th all-time in wins in Atlanta Falcons history. 3rd in passing.
23 of them.
3rd in passing with 14,066. 3rd in touchdowns with 87. He did have a Pro Bowl with the Falcons, and he won a playoff game. So I had him at number 5. Chris Miller. Dallas, Georgia fans out there, come on, let us know. All right, Ron. So who's your 4th?
Number 4, I have the former rookie of the year, Steve Bartkowski, 55-66. Lit it up.
Woo!
Lit it up. 154 touchdowns, 141 interceptions. So it was on the positive side. 23,470 yards. The man got 2 Pro Bowls, and he won Rookie of the Year. He went 1-3 in the postseason.
You have that one right, Ron. Steve Bartkowski, 2nd in wins all time, 2nd in passing, 2nd in touchdowns, 2 Pro Bowls, 1 playoff win, and that Rookie of the Year. What a player. Steve Bartkowski. Congratulations, Falcons. 55-66. Yes, sir, James. Wow. That's 4. Ron, who you got at 3?
Number 3 is just a hell of a player, right? I think the top 3 are decent players, right? I have Michael Vick number 3.
Ooh, surprise.
38-28 with 1 tie. He had the lowest completion ratio at 53.8 of the 3. He also had the least amount of wins of the 3, 71-52. Pretty good record. 6.7 yards per attempt. 11,505, the lowest of the yards of the 3. He's 2-2 in the playoffs, so I got him at number 3.
All right. And
I think if he played longer, if he didn't have any troubles,
please don't tell me Kirk.
he would have been ahead of that.
You got him nervous, James. He thinks Kirk Cousins maybe had 2. I have at number 3, Chris Chandler. Actually had a winning record for the Falcons, 34-33. That one game. 3rd in touchdown passes all time with 87. Second, he had 2 playoff wins, 2 Pro Bowls, 1 Super Bowl appearance. The Dirty Birds, that was his team. Chris Chandler for me at number 3 in my
Eric, I have him at number 2, and there is a glaring reason. All right, 34-33, like you said, 87 touchdowns, 56 interceptions, 7.9 yards per attempt, the best of anybody on the list. 13,268 yards. He had 2 Pro Bowls. I don't think I read Michael Vick had 3 Pro Bowls. I don't think I read it.
You did.
But he had a winning record in the postseason, 2-1. 2-1. So undoubtedly he made it to the playoffs once.
His 2 playoff wins, and then they got to the Super Bowl and lost.
Yeah.
All right. At number 2 for me, I had Michael Vick.
Yeah.
38-28-1 in his Atlanta career.
And I get it.
Third in wins, which is crazy to think about. 38 wins is 3rd all time in that franchise's history for wins. But okay, I regress. 3 Pro Bowls, 2 playoff wins, and he is 2nd all time in the NFL in rushing for a quarterback. So I gave him the number 2 nod because of that element of his game and what he meant. I'm pretty sure we both have the same number 1, but Ron, if the Dallas, Georgia fans need to know, who would be your number 1 starting quarterback all time in Falcons history?
Billy Joe Tolliver, of course.
What a pick. That's who I had.
No, it's absolutely Matt Ryan. He must have like all the records for Atlanta, except, well, no, he has the record for that too. He's 120-102, which I believe that puts him on top for wins.
Yes, number 1 all time in wins.
65.5 completion rate, 367 touchdowns, far and away the most, 170 interceptions. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good ratio, right? 7.5 yards per attempt, 59,735 team record, 4 Pro Bowls, and he also won Rookie of the Year. He won a Rookie of the Year. And he also has an All-Pro and an MVP.
Yes.
An MVP. Matt Ryan.
Listen.
MVP player right there.
Great career.
Holds the record for wins in the playoffs and losses in the playoffs.
Holds the record for the biggest.
Was so close to getting a Super Bowl.
For the biggest upset in the Super Bowl. Yes, he holds that record too. 28-3. But listen, Dallas, Georgia, we did this one for you. We feel for you. Matt Ryan is number 1.
Yeah, he is.
But they've had a tough time. They've had a tough stretch. Poor things. Poor things. But hey, listen, I forgot that MVP season was the year they went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So he definitely tore it up then. But that was our starting 5 Atlanta Falcons quarterbacks.
Look, they've had some pretty decent quarterbacks if they had anything with them. You know what I'm saying?
Well, again, you think about it, it's sometimes not just the quarterback, it's what's built around them. And Atlanta never really had.
And Matt Ryan had that one great year. He didn't have that team, throughout his career, unfortunately.
Yeah, because Chris Miller had Dion on the defensive side. Like, Dion was there then. That's why, like, I don't know. You got, 23 and 43. Ooh. All right, Ron.
Kirk Cousins is not number 2. One season did not get you on.
And he was only, 7-7? Wasn't he 7-7?
7-7.
Yeah, no, he wasn't gonna.
I mean, I guess he could be, an honorable mention, but I didn't. You had to have
not enough
for me at least 15 games. You had to play a full season.
Look at Billy Joe Tolliver. Look at you,
Billy Joe Tolliver.
That was pretty good. And we got to go back. Aaron Glenn. By the way, we need to start this, Ron. We're gonna trademark this right now. We're gonna put a Y at the end of his name, and he's gonna be Glenny and the Jets. Good, Glenny and the Jets.
Oh, that's brilliant! Yes, we are trademarking it.
Glenny and the Jets, right here. You heard it first. All right, Ron.
Brilliant.
Let's talk some NBA. And we're going to talk about another crap team, because that's what I'm going to call these teams going forward, because I'm tired of this garbage that these teams put out there. Should the Sacramento Kings trade De'Aaron Fox? So the biggest issue here, Ron, is he's a free agent at the end of the year. He's obviously going to command some money. He is by far their best player. We talked about the worst teams, worst franchises in NFL history before, right?
One of them.
And there was a common theme all the time, right? And this is why Sacramento has been this way for so long. Let's just continue to trade away the best asset we have and the best piece we have. And they're currently in the postseason. It blows my mind. But, Ron, should they trade him?
I don't think they should. I mean, you got to eventually say, you know what? We're going to get another player next year, and we're going to make a run at this. I mean, you got to eventually stop recycling.
Ron, they got DeRozan right now, and they got Sabonis, both averaging over 20 points. There's 3 guys on this team averaging 60 points. How about making a trade to pick up a third or fourth guy, guy or fifth guy that's going to actually just help you get through this postseason? And not trade away your best guy. Resign
this is a team that probably could use Jimmy Butler. If not just to show them, you just got to pour it all out on the court.
I think the problem with the Butler thing is you need a contract that works money-wise.
Yeah.
That's what's killing the Butler thing.
Well,
Butler would have been moved on already.
Yeah, but I mean, if they can get a guy that can be a compliment, I don't know. Maybe is it a big they need?
Well, Sabonis is a big, and he's a double-double. I maybe a small forward, power forward. I just don't get it. You fired your coach already this season, Mike Brown. Now you're going to get rid of your best player. What are you telling these fans that every year just continue to support you? It just gets to a point where I can't get it through my skull as to why an organization would want to continue to just be average to below average.
They just keep recycling the talent, right? They get a guy that is clearly, a top player. And what do? They just trade him away because they don't know how to put a team together. Instead of re-signing this guy, then you have, 3 guys that are there. You just need some pieces that knows how to clean it up. They got the scoring. Now you need the guys that can fine tune everything. Somebody that can distribute the ball. Somebody that can play some defense. You need those role players. And that's what's slowing this team down. It is so frustrating seeing it time and time again. This is why when you said, "Oh, can he turn around the Jets?" No, no, because it's the Jets. It's one of those 5 teams that we pulled out and said these teams never change because they don't know how to change. They don't know how to win because there's nobody in there to teach them how to win.
And it's proven fact, the NBA, you need good players. It's very rare that a team that doesn't have a 2 to 3 superstars wins a championship now. It just doesn't happen. And now you're going to, you know how hard it's going to be
built like that.
Yeah, it's not like you can replace this kid tomorrow and say, "Oh, I'm going to get the same quality player." You're going to downgrade.
Yeah. And you can't tell me it's not possible. Look at OKC. Look at Houston. You know, these teams, they've built up their teams. And it can be done. You know, look, I mean, the Celtics did it with Brown and Tatum, right? They got them to a point, and then they put players around them. It's like that with every team that wins now. You got to have a couple of stars, and it is possible that you can draft and get these players in that draft, get them to where there's a point where, you know, they can score the points. Now you need to teach them the defensive side of the ball, and you need to have somebody that has the experience to bring these players along. You know, it doesn't have to be a super talented guy, but it has to be a guy that's capable.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just a shame because I really felt like they were on the upswing, and then all of a sudden it's just like, here we go again with Sacramento.
You need a Robert Horry.
Just a role player that can win.
Right? That's what you need. That's what you need to go out to get. You get one of those guys, it changes things. It changes things.
Who's the guy in Houston? He's the hothead. He was on Memphis. I can't remember his name, but that's what Houston did. They went out, just got a tough guy, you know, a guy that's gonna, you know, mess things up a little bit, make it awkward for these teams to play through, and look at where Houston is.
Yeah. So I don't think they should trade him. I think what they need to do is grab another piece out there and make a run for it. Why not?
Yeah. I don't
because if it fails, then you got another draft pick. You can get somebody, bring him in, and then you can have a 4th piece.
Yeah,
you got 3.
Dylan Brooks, the guy got suspended all the time in Memphis. He's over there in Houston, and all he's doing is making, you know, everything difficult for other teams. They're the second best team in the West.
Yeah.
Get a Dylan Brooks type player on Sacramento to complement the 3 guys that are scoring 60+ points a game.
Yeah.
You got yourself a legitimate contender. I don't get it.
Yeah, and they have Sengun in there too, don't they?
Yeah, so I don't get it.
So you actually have another piece in there already. You don't need much, believe it or not. You don't need much. It'd be a shame if they sell.
Yeah,
because if they sell, they're not just going to trade Fox away. They're going to trade DeRozan.
Yeah, because even Malik Monk's their shooting guard. He's playing well. Keegan Murray was a rookie of the year. So I don't get it. I really don't. They got some talent on this team. It's a shame. It's a shame. But, all right, Ron, let's talk about a guy at the end of his career. We're going to talk some Major League Baseball. Max Scherzer has signed with the Toronto Blue Jays. Can he have an impact this season?
I mean, he can.
Impact how?
I mean, he's old. I mean, he's
up there. 40 years old. He's 40. He's played 17 games in the last 2 seasons.
Yeah. So he's fresh.
Yeah, that arm isn't.
I mean, it's got to be like an elastic at this point. The problem is at this age, you're losing your fastball. Okay. Can he compensate with other pitches and learn how to pitch like a Greg Maddux.
Yeah, I don't even think. Listen, 6-6 last year with Texas, or in the last 2 seasons. Like, he's not.
Well, the question you asked was, can he make an impact, right?
Yeah, I think on the negative
He
end,
can.
because they're penciling him in as their 4th starter, and if he's not going to play,
Well, he could make an impact by giving up a lot of runs if he doesn't have that fastball.
yeah,
If he doesn't have that fastball, he's not going to be effective unless he learned how to pitch.
Yeah, here's their line. Here's their rotation right now. Kevin Gausman, 14-11 last year. Jose Barrios, 16-11. Chris Bassett, 10-14. Then Scherzer, and then Bowden Francis, 8-5. They had
Bassett. I think Bassett is the one that you got to look at. That's the guy that you got to circle because he needs to do better than 10-14.
Yeah, and then I will say this, Ron. Last season, 22nd overall in ERA. They've got to cut the ERA down. And there's still a chance that Vladdy's gone.
Yeah,
so
I know.
If that happens, that's a big piece of your offense. Like, you need pitching to remain.
I mean, this is a team that I thought was going to do pretty well last year. Their pitching staff was really good, but it underperformed across the board. And when your pitching staff does not do well in that American League East, you're going to know it.
Yeah. I will say this too, Ron. Think about if I'm the Blue Jays. I'm going to put it this way: you ask 10 girls to the prom. It's always with the prom with you. I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know what that is about.
And you've asked 10 girls to the prom, and then they all say no, and you end up just going with the last girl that was left.
No chance.
Right? Think about it. They went after Soto. Couldn't sign him. They went after Corbin Burns, couldn't sign him. They went after Max Fried, couldn't sign him. They were looking at all these different guys, and it's like you settled on the last possible option in a 40-year-old pitcher.
Right, and I get that. Look, hey, he could win games. He could. You know, like I said, if he learned how to pitch in the past 2 years without the fastball, that's important. If he did that, if he fine-tuned the other pitches that he's got, then he could do well. He could.
He could.
Now, with that being said, yes, they missed on a lot of things, but at least they were in it. Rather than a team pretending to be in it and not doing anything anyway.
I truly think this move is to just sell. At some point, they're going to become sellers at the right before the deadline.
And
they're going to get rid of Vlad,
that.
right? They're going to get rid of Guerrero. They figured, look, he's going to. It's pretty much a guarantee. Scherzer's not playing a full season. So now they've got.
And when you think about it, somebody that's in the postseason is going to need a pitcher, and you trade this gentleman.
Right. But you also look at it this way.
Picks.
If I'm the fans and I'm going to go, look, we tried to get a guy, didn't work. We're not having a good season. We need to rebuild. This helps them in that case versus if they had gotten a Soto and they don't do well, you're in trouble now because you're stuck. Like, you're telling the fans.
Like, when you think about the talent that team had last year, first of all, they had the all junior squad.
Yeah.
Like, everybody was one of the kids from a ball player, right? And now you think about it, and it might, that theory I have about either the parent stinks or the kid stinks. There's something to that. So, of course, there's always an exception to the rule, and probably Guerrero Jr. probably fits that one, right?
Yeah, I think he's better than his dad. Yeah.
But all the others, they didn't work out so well. They were okay, but that's just it. They were just okay.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Scherzer's career, 216, 112. 316 ERA, 3,407 strikeouts, 8-time All-Star, a 3-time Cy Young winner, and 2 World Championships.
It might be that he stayed a little too long.
I think so. 40 years old. Some guys, right, hang on a little too long. And again, 17 games in 2 seasons right now isn't But to your point, well rested. All right, Ron. Good luck, Scherzer and Toronto Blue Jays. Let's move on to our split decisions.
It's time.
I just went into a slight panic because I said, wait, did I do my split decisions?
Oh,
But I
boy.
did.
Our split decisions are basically two more likely questions. We ask each other the question, and then we have to make a decision. Ron, you are first this week. So please start us off with your first.
All
split
right.
decision
It's almost trade deadline
in the NHL.
in both.
Oh, in basketball too, yes.
Yeah. So I picked out 4 players who I feel could be traded.
Okay.
Who is more likely to be traded first? Zach LaVine, De'Aaron Fox, because I still think they're going to trade him and mess up this team. CJ McCollum and Kyle Kuzma. Who's going to get traded first? I think Butler's the first guy that's going to.
All right.
Gonna
So my choices are again
Zach LaVine,
Zach LaVine, Chicago,
De'Aaron Fox,
Fox, Kings,
CJ McCollum, New Orleans,
Pelicans, yeah,
and Kyle Kuzma.
Wizards. Is he still with the
Yeah.
Wizards? He's still with
Yeah.
the Wizards?
Yeah.
I don't think Kuzma. I don't think anybody. He's good, but he's a good player. I think the other guys are still better. McCollum, I don't see it happening because I think they move Ingram. There's a lot of talk of Ingram moving for Butler. So I think they're still trying to want to win. I think it is De'Aaron
I'm in
Fox.
last place.
I know, but things they get a little lucky. Your boy gets healthy, starts playing.
No,
Zion.
who they should trade is Zion.
Yeah. So it's between Fox and Levine for me. I would say Fox first, but I think honestly, I think 3 of those 4 get traded. But yeah,
I think they all do.
I think De'Aaron Fox for sure. The only one McCollum, I'm not sure.
McCollum could be in the package that goes for one of these guys.
And maybe. All right, Ron. My first split decision. What is more likely to happen first? We have another NFL quarterback pass for 5,000 yards, or we have another running back rush for 2,000 yards.
Quarterback.
More recent.
Quarterback.
Been 2 years since we had a quarterback. We had a running back do it this year.
Quarterback.
Okay.
It's going to be Drake May, baby.
Oh,
Drake
boy.
May.
AFC Pro Bowler. Drake May.
He's going to get it all in the Pro Bowl.
Taking that picture down this week. Done. Gone. Drake May's gone. Oh, boy. All right.
No,
I just think that, listen,
I'm not going to say what I was thinking.
the running backs, they're starting to change a little bit. I'm just saying. Teams are starting to run more.
Okay.
Could be running back. But okay, you're going quarterback. All right.
Yeah.
Your second split decision.
All right. It's trade deadline time, right?
I think you said that. Yes.
Yeah. Who will more likely be the next player traded?
It's like deja vu right now.
I know. JT Miller, Chris Kreider, John Gibson, goaltender for Anaheim, or Trent Frederick.
So I was just because one of my split decisions was going to be an NHL trade question. And as I was going through, JT Miller is like the hot name. So I could really see them moving on from him. Even last year, we had talked about him moving on.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to say it, JT Miller is definitely going to go. And he's probably going to go soon. Because that name is just out there right now.
Yeah, and he's not getting along with Elias Peterson.
Yes. Yeah. So I think that's a done deal. JT Miller for sure.
So you think he's going to be the first one to go?
Absolutely. Just based on everything that's
Now,
out there.
do you think he could go to Boston?
No. Because that would mean they'd actually want to try to win and not go 500. Because that's how they're playing. Win one, lose two, win two, win one, lose one. They're all over the place. Nice game, though, yesterday, right?
Oh, yeah.
Anyway,
Great game.
My second split decision, Ron, is about the
better
Boston
than
Bruins.
Buffalo.
It is about the Boston Bruins. Is it more likely, Ron?
I got a headache all of a sudden.
Goalie Jeremy Swayman, who's
No.
16, 17, and 4 currently, has a winning record, a losing record, or he ends up 500 for the season?
Wow, that's a tough one because it is based on what happens with the Bruins trading. So if I say he's going to end up with a winning record, it means that they trade for some players. If I say he has a losing record, it means that they're going to dump people. Trent Frederick, Brazeau, possibly even Marchand. I would really like them to trade their defense away and trade them for 6 other players. Is that possible? Can we do that?
I don't think so, buddy.
I'm going to say he's going to have a winning record.
Ooh, Homer.
I'm not saying it's going to be by much.
I mean, he's one game under 500.
Right. So if he has a 2-game winning streak.
Yeah, man's on fire.
The man is on fire.
Wasn't that a Denzel movie? Man on Fire, right? Denzel.
Great. Denzel. That's a great movie.
He was protecting, what's her name?
The little girl.
Haley. Was that her?
I don't know.
All right.
Some little girl. It was a great movie.
Some little girl. Bruins need a new GM. Kyle, thank you for joining. Listen.
Well, you know what they did do? They did bring in another player to work as I don't know, somebody that's going to have a different input, I guess. Zdeno Chara got a job.
What is the organization doing? It's almost as bad as New England Patriots when they got Mayo, Troy Brown, Dante Hightower, like all these guys. They just keep thinking like it doesn't work.
They're waiting too long to make a deal too, and it's really frustrating. I want to know one way or the other, either crap or get off the pot.
Is that a bean pot though?
No, it's just a porcelain pot.
Okay.
I'm just tired of looking at them playing horrible.
The fans have spoken.
Stinks.
Kyle agrees with me. New GM, get rid of Cam, get rid of Sweeney. This organization, they are okay with just being an average team.
Look, this could happen. There's a lot of talk that Patrice Bergeron can end up taking over.
I don't know if Kyle, I don't know if I agree with that one, though. Put him back on the ice. He couldn't stay healthy when he was a player, Cam Neely. I can only imagine now.
No.
That's like putting Max Scherzer as a starting. Oh, wait. Never mind. That is happened.
I mean, this team defensively is awful. They panic, and it's glaring. It's a glaring problem. And I used to think the world of McAvoy. Oh my God, he's atrocious.
Can I ask you a question,
Ron?
I know we're going off in a different direction. We're going to talk a little Bruins here for a bit, but Joe Sacco, right? Is it Joe Sacco?
Yeah.
You told me with the coaching change, this is what they needed. Yeah. It's the same exact form. Nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed.
And who makes that decision to get rid of the coach?
I think it's probably both Don Sweeney and Cam Neely, but it's supposed to be Don Sweeney.
That's my point. The wrong people are making decisions for the Boston Bruins right now.
Yeah, and it's glaring right now. It's not so much that you have to do too much, but you have to do something. You can't just sit and watch this. Even when they were winning games, those wins were not good. Giving up 40 shots a game, it is not on the goaltenders. The goaltenders have been spectacular. They're facing shots that are just wide open, breakaways, people just standing in the middle. I'm watching time after time after time players doing skate bys or not moving and reaching for the puck. It's giveaways. Like Lowry made a bad one against Winnipeg, decides to take it around from behind the net right in front of his goaltender, who was down after making a great save, and it just gets poked off his stick into the net. Open net. It's just constant bad plays by the defense, and then the wingers aren't coming back and helping.
I like what Kyle's saying, man. I like Kyle. Kyle, you're on my side. Clean house, man. Clean house. Kyle, are you a Bruins fan, by the way?
They might need it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's the only way you start to get back to respectability with this organization. You need.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the answers are, but they definitely have to make a trade one way or the other. If they try to go for it, I get it because they're still in a playoff spot, but do one or the other, and you got to do it now because the team is lost right now.
Kyle seems to blame Swayman. He never should have signed Swayman. I mean,
like I said, I don't think it's the goaltender's fault.
But I also wouldn't have made him one of the highest paid goalies. I think that's where they made the mistake.
Well, yeah, I think they paid him too much.
Ullmark should have stayed. Yeah, Ullmark's playing pretty well.
They should have kept Ullmark until they signed
Swayman.
So that way he didn't have the leverage. Once they traded him, he had the leverage.
Kyle played hockey for years. Where'd you play hockey, Kyle? You don't mind us asking. But yeah, I think that's where they made their mistake.
Yeah.
Right? Because that kind of hurt them in a cap standpoint. You can't get some quality players.
You could have paid Swayman like $6 million. Could have paid him $6 million if you kept him and then trade him.
Yeah, you're not moving on. Nobody's picking up Swayman now, not for that contract.
No, not now.
So you're locked in to have him for quite some time.
Yeah.
And you see the same thing happening with the Rangers, right? Shesterkin signed that huge deal.
Yeah, and it's been awful.
And it's been horrible.
Yeah.
Oh, Pawtucket. Kyle's from Rhode Island. All right.
Oh, really?
Cool. That's awesome.
There we go.
Kyle from Pawtucket. All right.
I wonder if I've played him. I might have played him.
How old are you, Kyle?
How old are you, Kyle? I don't think I've played you. I'm a lot older.
All right, Ron, let's keep talking some NHL. Big trade that happened on Friday as we got off the air. And this Mikko Rantanen was traded. What? Huh? Rantanen. Pawtucket Pirates and Tolman.
Oh, yeah. I didn't play you then. I didn't actually play in my high school team. I played on, another league that was organized, and so I didn't play in high school.
All right. He says you know him. I know you, or Ron knows you. Rantanen. Did I say it right? I still Rantanen. Mikko Rantanen. He was traded to Carolina Hurricanes. Does this move make them the favorites for the Stanley Cup, or at least in the East?
In the East, that's a little different. I would say in the East, yes.
Say it like you mean it, Ron.
I don't, because it's so difficult.
Oh, they played.
Okay, all right. All right, so I do know him. Okay, I thought the name looked familiar. So, look, I mean, this puts him in a good position, but it wasn't so much of a lopsided trade as you'd think.
Danny's on the money. Hey,
yes, Danny, you missed the opening story about the Cowboys. Look, they upgraded slightly. Yes, Rantanen is better than Natchez, right? And Taylor Hall is better than Drury. So they upgraded a little bit. Now, with that being said, Rantanen is a special player. And I think ultimately you got two guys that know how to do it in the postseason. Taylor Hall was the Bruins' best player in the postseason a couple of years ago, and they didn't keep him. Big mistake. Big mistake.
Who runs the organization? No, let me shut up.
So
I agree with you. The problem with this is almost like what we were talking about with the Kings, though, because it bothers me. Rantanen. I can't even say the guy's name right. But McKinnon is their highest paid player in Colorado, 12.6 mil.
right.
He's asking for about 14 million. So what they decided to do is get rid of a quality player who's got 26 goals, 40 assists, 66 points on the season, a plus 15, and move on from him. It just blows because Colorado has always been one of those top teams.
Yeah, I don't think that was a good move for them.
So that part of it bothers me. Carolina's still got a ways to go. They're 6 points behind in the Metropolitan. Washington is still playing very good hockey. So it's going to be interesting to see if they can overcome Washington. I mean, they're obviously in the postseason. And to your point, I think that's where the experience helps them.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and again, Hall.
Yeah, I just I don't think anybody's a clear favorite in the East right now. I don't particularly think that anybody in the Atlantic is playing very well, because as bad as the Bruins are playing, they're still they're still in a playoff spot, and that is pretty much terrible when you think about it. As bad as the Bruins are playing, they're still in a playoff spot. And that is embarrassing to the rest of that conference, to be honest with you. It's just a joke. It's a joke. And Washington, Carolina, New Jersey right now seems to be the better teams in the East. Because I mean, yeah, Toronto might be playing pretty well, but when are the wheels going to fall off of that one? In the playoffs, first round.
What did Jerry Jones say? Danny, he said he basically said, "Do you know what phrase he used to tell Brian Chapman?" I can't wait because Jerry's good for something.
Oh, Jerry's always got something to say.
Oh boy.
So yeah, I still think Winnipeg right now to me looks like the best team. Looks like the best team.
Yeah,
they have it all. They have the goaltender. They have the defense. They also have
Hellebuck.
Hellebuck is.
You told me he would go up. By the way, he went down in his goals against average. He might do this.
He could.
He's an even 2 now.
I don't think so, but
I'm just saying. You said going up. He's going up.
Yeah.
All right, Ron. Let's continue this hockey talk. We're going to talk some pick and roll here.
It's time for pick and roll.
Tonight's pick and roll. We are on episode 5 of season 5. Double nickels in the house tonight. New sheriff in town. So we are going to rank the last 5 NHL players who scored 5 goals in a game. So these were the last 5 players to do it. Tage Thompson, Timo Meier, Mika Zibanejad, Patrick Lane, and Johan Franzen.
It's Patrick Laine.
Oh, Patrick Laine and Johan Franzen.
Franzen, yeah.
Franzen. Let's rank them from 5 to 1, Ron. You off first tonight.
Yeah, this is actually, you got some good players here. I know the numbers don't look like pop out wow because they're pretty recent, right? So only one guy is not playing anymore.
Yeah.
So number 5, I have Patrick Laine. I'm actually stunned at his numbers are so low. Because, like, when, first of all, he's only 26, and it feels like he's been in the league for 30 years. It does. But he was oft injured. So, 503 games played. He has a total of 406 points, which is pretty good. 216 goals, 190 assists. But the man is a minus 64. At some point, you have to skate in your own end. You have to do that. Because usually when the other team has the puck in your end, you might want to go back there to stop the goals. He did not. He didn't do that. So he's got 29 game winners, and like none of these guys really have accolades at all. So, but he's a good player. He's a goal scorer. I don't know. Like, it's one of those guys that probably wasted a lot of the talent.
Danny, he got a P. Diddy reference with Jerry Jones saying he likes his baggage. Energizer bunny. Energizer battery.
Yeah. Are you just realizing that these owners have a little
it's billionaires. What do you I don't know. People think they could get away with anything. That's what happens.
Number 4, I have Johan Franzen. And he's a nice player, more defensive than anything, but he's still at 370 points in 602 games. He's a plus 93, 44 game winners. So he was big for the Detroit Red Wings. He really did a good job, especially with the top lines going up against him. He does have a Stanley Cup. Does have one. Mm-hmm. Number 3, I have Timo Meyer. I keep thinking of the shopping thing, Temu.
Yeah, Temu. Yeah, where you get like ripped off.
Timo Meyer.
Yeah.
Not Timo. 593 games, 206 goals, 213 assists, 419 points. Minus 54. That has changed this year, so he might have found his own end this year. Every other year in negative. But I think he finally found, where the New Jersey Devils start.
All right.
So, but he's super talented. I think if he's not on a bad team, he's gonna prosper. And I think the goals might slow down a little bit because he is playing some more defense. So, but number 3. Number 2, I have Tage Thompson, who is a prototypical power forward. So I think he's got a talent for scoring. Last few seasons, he's really started picking up that pace. So 157 goals, 140 assists, 297 points in 417 games. Mind you, he plays for Buffalo. Not a good team. So therefore, he's going to be a minus 49. But this year, he is a plus. So he's actually starting to grow into finally becoming a real good NHL player. 15 goals, game-winning goals to go along with that. But number 1, I have Mika Zibanejad. 898 games already, 303 goals, 404 assists, 707 points. By far the best out of all of these players. Plus 19 and 42 game-winning goals. So, you just take the positives over the negatives, and you have to end up with Zibanejad at number 1.
All right.
Although you're a big plus-minus guy, so I would not be surprised if you have Franz in number 2.
Danny, you are right. They're not America's team anymore. They are not. And
no.
Super Bowl is the furthest thing from the Dallas Cowboys right now. Yes. All right, Ron. We saw this completely different.
Yeah, I'm sure.
At number 5 for me, I had Tage Thompson. For only 417 games, so I give him some credit. He's the least amount of games on this list, but a minus 49, 15 game-winning goals. I didn't like his numbers there. Timo Meyer at 4 for me. A minus 54. Hate it. 28 game-winning goals. Again, you said no accolades. At 3, I went Patrick Laney.
Line.
And I went, believe it or not, he's the only guy with an accolade. He made the all-rookie team. So I was like, I put him ahead. The guy had a minus 64. But I was like, you know what? He made an all-rookie team. I gave him something because nobody else on this list made anything. At 2, I went Zibanejad. 898 games. You're right, though. 303 goals, 707 points, the most out of this list in 42 game winners. But I liked Johan Franzen.
Yeah.
And I just liked the fact that he won a cup and a plus 93. So he's a
great player. He's a great player.
He played in 290 less games than, Zibanejad. Yeah. So I gave him credit for that.
I just looked at the difference in Tage Thompson and Timo Meyer. In the last couple of years, they have really blossomed.
Yeah.
And they're going to be, 500 goal scorers, most likely. Health, of course, is a big key. They're still very young players, and they haven't entered their prime yet. They're getting close to that, though. Tage Thompson, though, he's a goal scorer now. Like last couple of years, he's really piling on, and he's had nothing to work with. He goes to a good team.
Yeah, JJ Redick. Yeah, it's a yes guy for LeBron with the Lakers, and now Brian Schottenheimer. Yeah, he's a yes guy for.
Jerry absolutely. Jones. Yeah,
no,
absolutely.
That's a great comparison, Danny. That's a remarkable comparison because that's exactly what the Lakers
very
did.
accurate.
And look at what the Lakers, they're not very good either. So, I mean, again, I think that's where you're at when it comes to I will disagree, though. I don't think that the Browns are the Bears because they've been successful, except in the postseason. Like Dallas hasn't been a team where every year they're in the top 5 in draft picks. They're usually in the mix. This year, obviously, was a little bit of a difference for them. So I disagree with that part of it, but I do like the comparison with JJ Redick. That's a really good one, Danny.
No, that's spot on, actually.
All right, Ron. That was a good pick and roll. All right.
See, it is a good one. And lately it's been
we've kind of agreed.
Like,
yeah.
the same.
So this one, we looked at it a little different. So that was kind of cool. All right, Ron, it is prediction time. And
wait till you see this.
Last week, we had I think this was a first. We all went 4-4. You go 4-4, James 4-4. Me and you went 4-4. So again, Danny, you weren't on last week. Let's get some picks in this week. Hopefully James is still on. Hugo, you're still on. Make sure you get your picks in. And if anybody else is live out there and wants to get their name on our prediction chart and go against us, let's see where you're at. Because right now I'm top dog, 64%. Ron, we always start with the NBA. On the second, we have the Memphis Grizzlies at the Milwaukee Bucks.
No Ja Morant, correct?
I don't think so. Yeah, I think he's still out. NFL is rigged. Here we go again, Hugo. Hugo's going on again.
It's true. I am gonna go with Oh God, I don't want to go with Milwaukee. But I'm gonna go Milwaukee at home.
All right. I went Bucks as well. James going Bucks. Yeah, just like the Bucks at home. Look, he's got a
And a
little buck.
deer.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Look at that. Does he pay for his emojis? I don't think that's like a common emoji. Hugo win buck.
win bucks.
All right, Hugo trying to go over 500. Danny, Memphis. All right. Anybody else out there live want to give us a pick? Memphis Grizzlies at the Milwaukee Bucks.
There's a bunch of people watching.
All right.
Let's go, people.
All right. February 3rd, Ron. Got the Houston Rockets at the New York Knicks. I went against the Rockets last time they were on the road, and they ended up beating Boston. Ime Udoka is got this team playing hard. I like the Knicks, but I'm going Houston here because I feel like Houston is going to just do a little bit more defensively to slow down the Knicks. So I went.
Yeah,
Houston.
I agree. That they have quite the roster. I'll tell you, they're impressive. They are impressive. So I also went Houston. Sengun is so good. I'm like, there's so many players that just contribute. Like, you can shut someone down, but then everybody else, you can't.
Very young
shut
team.
everybody down.
Very young team. James going next. Hugo's going Houston. All right. NHL, Ron. February 1st, you got the Winnipeg Jets at the Washington Capitals.
That's a tough one, but I'm gonna go Winnipeg. I just think Winnipeg is just doing something special this year.
Goaltending travels well. They have the best goaltender. Again, they put up a ton of goals. So I went Winnipeg as well. I think they're the best team in the NHL right now.
Right now, they're all checking the standings.
Yeah, Danny jumped ship quick from those Lakers. Now go Knicks. James going to Jets. Danny's going Jets. Nope. James got the Jets. Glenny and the Jets, baby. Better Jets team. Yes, it is. It's a better Jets team. They should probably go for copyrights. All right. On February 6th.
Same results in the playoffs.
Yeah, Thursday. Carolina Hurricanes at the Minnesota Wild. Carolina, I know with the trades and everything, Minnesota's only a game over 500 at home. So I think Carolina goes in and wins this game. Minnesota play a much better road team. One game over 500. Minnesota.
I like Carolina anyway in this, even if they weren't home.
Shake my head. I agree, Hugo. They'll always have Joe Namath, though, those Jets. That's it. Minnesota.
Yeah.
Hugo. Got it.
Isn't that the problem?
The Wild. James.
Ooh, we split on this, huh?
Yeah.
That's scary.
See, Danny's going Carolina. All right. College men's basketball, Ron. Tomorrow, number 5, Florida Gators at number 8, Tennessee Volunteers. What do you have?
I am going to go Florida on the road.
Tennessee's lost 2 straight. I think they're on the downward slide after being the number 1 team in the country. So I think Florida does go in there and beats them as well. So I went Florida Gators.
Gatorade. H2O.
The Vols. James going the Vols.
Hey, Tennessee tuxedo will not fail.
Florida for Hugo. Florida for Danny. All right. All right. In a game that has 0 meaning ever, but we needed to fill something in. On the second, Ron, I know how excited you are to watch the NFL Pro Bowl game. We got the AFC versus the NFC, Ron. Who are you going for?
I'm gonna go AFC. I'm gonna go with Drake May, baby. He's gonna light it up.
We've got problems because we're thinking alike lately, and I hate it because that's why I went with the AFC too. I'm like, Drake May, baby, bring it on. Drake May.
Is there
AFC.
any other Patriots in this game?
I don't think so. They didn't. No,
Well, they weren't good enough.
they weren't. James going to NFC. He's
Oh,
going
we
with the-
have to have an offensive lineman there.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, or a wide receiver, Ron. I think the wide receiving group.
Oh,
was
that too.
top notch.
Wait, did we have anybody that would be in any other position?
No, punter.
What about Christian Gonzalez?
Yeah,
I saw
they hyped
somebody
him up. I
post once that he was the best, one of the best
NFL
cornerbacks
rigged,
in
Eric Ron.
football.
Yeah, NFL's rigged. Who are you going for, though, Danny? We know the NFL's rigged. There's a script out there.
Yep. So, this is like trying to predict wrestling, only with better actors.
Oh,
You know, Well, wrestling has better actors.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say. Guess Danny doesn't want to pick the Pro Bowl. All right, Ron. Before we get into our final thoughts, we always take some time to let all the fans out there know how they can become a sponsor and get their name and banner above mine. John Cena wins. Yes. Yes, gambling is a problem in the NFL. It is.
You think? It's a problem in every sport.
There's
We
the
just don't
lockout.
know it yet.
Yeah. Isn't there what is it this weekend?
The Royal Rumble.
Royal Rumble, yes, yeah. I almost put that in. I didn't know. Could've put who wins what match. All right,
Well,
Ron. So
hey, we already have one rigged sport, so why not another
all
one?
right. All right. So you want to tell everybody out there they can become a sponsor of Sports Unfolded and get their name?
Oh, sure, Eric. I can go through this whole spiel. Is it spiel?
I think it's spiel.
Okay. Because it's not, this spiel doesn't sound right.
No, it's spiel.
Okay. Is it a
Spiel.
Jewish thing?
I don't know. Anybody out
No.
there Jewish? Let us
But-
know. I don't know.
Sponsor the show. Your ad will be here. We will read the ad, so not only will people see it, but it will be heard on the audio version for Spotify, Amazon, Red Circle, and many more. So send
Many,
us
many
an
more.
email at RhodeIslandBroadcasting.media@gmail.com, and I can send you out the complete media kit, so that way you can know what to do. And like I say, Eric, all the time, it's like going to your local coffee shop to get a large iced coffee in the middle of winter. People do that
Yeah, people love like
with an egg sandwich.
Ooh,
You can get an egg sandwich
with bacon.
with bacon. Of course,
Yeah,
has
gotta
to be
have
bacon.
bacon, egg, and cheese.
So, and it costs less than that. So,
Insanity.
look, it is a great deal because not only do you get us on YouTube, Facebook, which has 10,000 followers, I might add, but you also get it heard on the Providence radio station, right?
990 WBOB.
990 BOB, WBOB, and of course in the Dallas, Georgia area where we have what was it, 13,000 listeners? 13,000 listeners.
WDJY 99.1 FM in Dallas, Georgia.
So you'd be a fool not to do this with us. You'd be a fool.
I think Danny wants to sponsor. Might sponsor. Hugo might get in too. I'll take 2 of those, Ron. I think he's talking about the bacon, egg, and cheese, though.
Yeah, he might be talking about that.
Yeah, I don't think he's talking about sponsor. All right, Ron. It is that time of the show where we give our final thoughts, and our final thoughts don't necessarily have to be about anything sports related. It could be about anything going on in the world today. You are first this week, my friend, so your final thoughts.
Yeah, as soon as I can find where I put the final thoughts. There it is. Look, we have heard about the story, the plane that crashed into a helicopter.
Vice versa.
Look, I don't. This seems very weird to me. It seems very weird. It almost looks deliberate, which is kind of scary. I've been paying attention to this story, and I cannot. They found the boxes, and I don't know when we'll hear anything, if they tell us anything. But the movements of the plane and the movements of the helicopter are both questionable. But what was lost are many people, including the Boston Skating Club members. I guess there was 14 members in total, including Spencer Lane, Jindahan, their mothers, and coaches Evgenia Shishkova and Vadim Naumov.
Yeah, they were married couple.
So I'm sure there was, other members, and they just did not want to divulge those names for whatever reason. But it was a big loss to the Boston Skating Club. Total devastation with all the people that were lost on that plane, and also
miles.
the helicopter itself. Hopefully, hopefully it is nothing that is going to be some sort of terrorist act. I hope it doesn't turn out to be that, but it looks weird. It looks weird. So pay attention to that story, and look, our condolences goes out to all the people that lost their lives on this. Hopefully, everybody can find answers. It's just a terrible story.
Yeah, definitely a tragedy. A lot of young lives lost.
Oh God!
In that situation,
Talking like 11-year-olds,
right? Just coming back from a tournament in Wichita, Kansas. It was probably one of the highlights of their lives, and unfortunately that was the last of it. So unfortunately, our condolences to those families.
Yes, and same for the wildfires, Danny.
Yep. Oh,
that's always in our thoughts as well.
Absolutely. All right, Ron, my final thoughts, I actually have two. One, I'm going to start off with the negative. Little disappointed that this is another story yet again in the NFL. Justin Tucker, the kicker for the Baltimore Ravens now, 6 allegations against him from massage therapists and inappropriate acts. I feel like we've watched this before, Ron. So again, how does the NFL handle this? Again, 11-game suspension for Deshaun Watson when this came out. I expect the same to happen with Justin Tucker. It's just a shame that these athletes still don't get the point that these teams provide you with these kind of resources, and it's probably a safer outlet than anything else you're going to do anywhere else. So that's usually where I feel you were looking for more, because if it was a team, a person that was doing these things, this probably wouldn't happen, or you couldn't get away with it or try to get away with it. But we'll see. Listen, all allegations, but Justin Tucker now involved in that piece. So that'll be another story that we're probably going to be talking about coming down the road. And my second one, Ron, I want to wish hopefully a speedy recovery. Again, we talk about sports and sometimes not liking certain players or certain teams, but when they are human beings as well. Dwayne Wade just recently had a cancerous tumor removed from his kidney. 40% of his kidney was removed, and obviously getting treatment for cancer. It was cancerous, the tumor. So we wish him and his family the best with this recovery. Again, even as a Miami Heat, I still respect him as a player. So hopefully he heals up and he's okay.
Yeah. I don't know if you caught Wednesday's show on Going On Daily. I did a story about Mariano Rivera and his wife Clara.
Yep.
people might want to take a look at that story as well,
Mhm.
because that is,
You're talking a
I at
legend.
first thought it would be a
Yep.
money grab, but
No. A legend of the game, a guy that I think so many Yankee fans like myself looked up to, and now unfortunately, a lot has come out where it may not be as as good a guy as we thought he was.
yeah,
So
that's
yeah, some
unfortunate.
sad stories. Yeah, sad stories. I want to thank everybody that joined us live tonight. Danny, Hugo, James, Sarah. Thank you all for joining us. Anyone that is going to watch us afterwards, like, share, follow our show. Check us out on all of our social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, MeWe. We're on everything. You can't miss us. Tell your friends about us. Join us every Friday night at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Rhode Island Broadcasting and Sports Unfolded. We love doing this show. We want to continue to grow. Help us get a sponsor as well. If you know somebody out there that wants thousands of eyes and ears on their business every week, tell them to give us email, and we can definitely get that information out to them as well. Ron, I want to thank you as well for your time tonight. Had a great time. Hopefully everybody out there had a great time, and we get to do it all over again next Friday night.
It's always a pleasure.
All we ever ask for every single show is that we get peace on earth.
Have a great night, everybody.